Welcome to Omega Construction's Site Safety Orientation video. Omega Construction desires for every project to have zero incidents and zero injuries. Omega strives to ensure that our safety culture includes individual commitment to eliminating injuries, incidents, environmental impacts, and errors or omissions. This commitment involves every employee taking responsibility for their own behavior and for every employee around them. Omega Construction has a zero tolerance policy in regards to safety. Please use any and every means possible to keep yourself and your fellow workers safe. Safe working conditions and safe practices are the first priority for this project. Our goal is to prevent accidents on this site. We expect all contractors to pay proper attention to safe work practices to help achieve and maintain this goal. All work must be done in a manner that complies with OSHA regulations and these requirements as a minimum guide. The Omega Construction Superintendent will implement more stringent requirements if he or she deems it necessary. All accidents or injuries, no matter how minor, must be reported to your supervisor immediately. They will assist you and provide supplies and/or refer you to proper care. A report for any severity of injury is to be given to Omega each week as a matter of record. Omega Construction Safety Committee will review any significant injuries or near misses to better understand the incident and the overall safety culture on our project. If emergency medical care is needed, use the job site phone or your cell phone and dial 911. Give the location of the incident. Be prepared to report the type of suspected injury and the number of people involved. Stay on the line until instructed to hang up by the 911 operator. A supervisor's report of accident has to be completed by the subcontractor and sent to the Omega job site superintendent within 24 hours of the time of accident. Each Omega construction job site will have a job information board close to the entrance or where employees enter the site. This job information board contains important information for you as a worker on our job site. The job information board includes the following information: state federal labor law poster, OSHA 300A log, FFCRA, right to work / e-verify information, the job site address, the site evacuation plan, evacuation procedures, emergency contact information, voluntary respiratory notice, site-specific silica exposure control plan notice, PPE and emergency equipment notice, permits, notice of contract if in North Carolina, notice of commencement if in Georgia, lien agent requirements if in North Carolina. Each subcontractor will designate a competent person as a safety representative. That person will represent his company or her company as a member of the Omega On-Site Safety Committee. On a designated day and time of each week, each subcontractor is to have a competent person walk the job site with the Omega On-Site Safety Committee. This person will represent his or her company as a member of that Omega On-Site Safety Committee. The purpose of this walkthrough is to identify any possible safety problems. The competent person on each crew will be expected to attend our job site walkthrough if he or she is present on site. Each subcontractor will be expected to hold a weekly safety meeting and give a copy of these meeting notes and attendees to the Omega superintendent. The Omega on-site superintendent holds a weekly presentation or toolbox talk on site safety topics. These presentations are for the benefit of all Omega employees and subcontractors. The work area of each employee must be a safe work area. In order to do so, these three items may be necessary. Housekeeping. All areas of work must be kept clean with daily trash removal. Barricades. Barricades are required around floor openings, excavations, roof areas, certain types of equipment, and certain types of overhead work. Warning signs. Warning signs must be used effectively to warn personnel in the area. Examples of these signs are men working above, slippery when wet. On the screen is an example of the PPE poster that will be posted on the Omega construction job site. This poster identifies the PPE required to enter the site. Items seen here, such as hard hat, high visibility vest or shirt, long pants, work boots, safety glasses, and a sleeve shirt are all required to enter the job site at all and maintain on the job site at all times. Other task-specific PPE may be added or required as necessary. Any individual performing work at a height of 6 feet or more above the ground must be properly tied off with the safety harness and lanyard. 100% tie-off is required on knuckle boom lifts, scissor lifts, and all aerial work platforms. Ladders must be secured at the top and bottom. Ladders must extend 3 feet above landing height. 100% tie-off may require 2 lanyards, so one of them can be hooked at all times when moving. All scaffolding is to be erected by a competent person in a manner consistent with OSHA regulations. Before any work begins, the scaffolding must be properly tagged and labeled per OSHA standards, and the competent person must fill out a subcontractor daily scaffold checklist. That checklist must be turned in to the Omega construction superintendent. All mobile equipment must have an operator's manual, backup alarm, fire extinguisher, horn, mirrors, glass if applicable, free of cracks or breaks, seatbelt, lights, and wipers if applicable. All forklift, crane, and aerial lift operators must have a recent operator's certification. All mobile equipment must be inspected by the operator prior to use. Aerial lifts must have a current annual inspection, and the documentation should be with the machine. Seatbelts must be worn when operating the equipment. No riding on the equipment by anyone other than the operator will be permitted. Cranes must have yearly, monthly, and daily inspections. All workers using aerial lift platforms, such as scissor lifts and knuckle boom lifts, are required to have training in the usage and hazards associated with lift platforms. The Omega superintendent can provide you with the information to train your workers. All workers must read and understand the operator's manual and be trained on safe operation of the equipment they are going to be operating. Ladders. Ladders must maintain a 1/4 ratio. Do not carry tools and equipment while climbing a ladder. When climbing a ladder, maintain 3 points of contact. Do not use the top step of the ladder. Prevent passerbyers from going under the ladder. Barricades may be necessary. Do not use damaged ladders and inspect each ladder for damage prior to use. When using ladders, secure the base of the ladder. Do not place the ladder on uneven or unstable ground. Wear proper footwear such as the safety boots required on mega construction job sites when climbing a ladder. Do not use ladders near doorways unless the door is locked. Beware of locking exit routes from the building. Secure the top of the ladder. Do not lean away from the ladder or overreach on the ladder. Stay centered between the rails. All electrical equipment and power tools must be protected from shock hazard by use of a GFCI plug or pigtail. All electrical tools and cords must have grounding lugs and wires intact. Cords found defective must be repaired immediately or be removed from service by cutting the cord at the male plug end. Fire extinguisher safety. Based on the class of fire, the type of fire, there may be specific fire extinguisher needed. From the diagram on the screen, you can see the class of fire, type of extinguisher, extinguisher identification, and symbol. A Class A fire consisting of ordinary combustibles such as wood, paper, rubber, fabrics, and many plastics will have a fire extinguisher identification of a green triangle with the letter A. Class B fire, consisting of flammable liquids and gases such as gasoline, oils, paint, lacquer, and tar, will be identified by an extinguisher identification of a red square with the letter B inside of it. Class C fire is fires involving live electrical equipment. The adequate extinguisher will be identified by a blue circle with the letter C. Class D fires, typically consisting of combustible metals or metal alloys, will be identified by a yellow star with the letter D in it. Class K fires, fires involving cooking appliances, will be identified by a black hexagon with the letter K in it. After identifying the proper fire extinguisher, it's important to understand how to use the fire extinguisher. When using a fire extinguisher, remember the acronym PASS. Pull the pin, aim at the base of the fire, squeeze the lever, sweep from side to side. Each subcontractor is responsible to provide a mega construction with a site-specific plan for the following scopes of work. Silica exposure plan. Any subcontractor working with, around, or during operations involving silica dust. Any concrete or masonry cutting or demolition requires a written plan. Masonry bracing plan will also be required for masonry contractors on any structure 8 feet or higher. Each subcontractor is responsible to provide hazardous communication training to their employees. Each subcontractor is to notify the job site superintendent of all chemicals they bring on site and provide copies of safety data sheets, SDS, to Omega Construction for the record. All spills of fuels, chemicals, or paints must be reported to the Omega superintendent immediately. Radios, Bluetooth devices, headphones, iPods, and equipment of the such are not permitted in any work areas. Cell phones, smartphones, tablets, and laptops should only be used for work-related activities inside of a work area. Using these items for personal use are allowed during breaks, but outside of the active work area. Omega Construction has an obligation to ensure the safety of all workers on site. If an employee is not committed to working safely, Omega has set forth the following disciplinary actions. First offense is a verbal and written warning. Second offense, employee is suspended for the remainder of the day and the next working day. Third offense, employee committing the violations along with the employee's direct supervisor is removed from the job site. The supervisor is required to be replaced until the subcontractor's scope of work has been completed. Again, Omega Construction has a zero tolerance policy in regards to safety. Please use any and every means possible to keep yourself and your fellow workers safe. Permits. Hot work permit. A hot work permit will be required for all welding and burning. This permit will be issued weekly or daily by the Omega superintendent as required for the work. Note, this permit will in no way relieve the holder of his or her responsibilities or liability. Excavation permit. An excavation permit will be required for any excavation over 4 feet. This permit is to be issued daily by the Omega superintendent as required for work. Note, this permit will in no way relieve the holder of his or her responsibilities or liability. Omega Construction recognizes the dignity of all employees and all individuals. Our policy is to be fair and impartial in dealing with all employees. The protection policy is to ensure equal opportunities to all employees based on individual qualifications without regard to race, color, religion, age, sex, national origin, disability, or veteran status. Discrimination, misconduct, intimidation, or harassment is expressly prohibited and will not be tolerated. Sexual harassment is a form of harassment and is described as unwelcome and unsolicited sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, and other verbal, visual, or physical conduct of a sexual nature, when the conduct has the purpose or effect of interfering with an employee's performance or creating an intimidating, hostile, or offensive work environment. Employees who believe that they are victims of discrimination or sexual harassment are encouraged to immediately and clearly communicate that such conduct is unwelcome. You are also encouraged to immediately report such incidences to your supervisor or EEO representative for your employer's firm. Employees who remove or attempt to remove company property without authorization will be disciplined up to and including termination of employment on this job site. Each employer is responsible for the security of his or her own property. Smoking on Omega job sites is permitted only in designated areas. Some contracts with various clients prohibit smoking anywhere on the site. Please check with your superintendent to establish if the current work site allows smoking on the premises. Omega Construction maintains a commitment to all employees to promote a high standard of safety on this project. Substance abuse exposes everyone to the risk of accidents or injuries and can lead to the damage of property and equipment. The presence, distribution, or use of intoxicants, which include alcohol, alcoholic energy drinks, and unlawful drugs, or the willful abuse of non-prescription or prescription drugs cannot and will not be tolerated. Instances of willful substance abuse at work are strictly prohibited and will be considered cause for immediate termination of employment on this job site. Each employee on this job site will be given a safety orientation sticker to place on his or her hard hat for identification. The purpose of this is to show that each employee on site has gone through this safety orientation. You must have and wear your hard hat at all times on this job site. Only company-owned vehicles will be allowed to park inside of the work area. A separate area will be designated for employee parking. Caution and good judgment should be exercised in the event of adverse weather. Employees are expected to get to work if at all possible, but are not expected to take unnecessary risk. All press releases are to be cleared by Omega Construction. No Omega employee or subcontractor may post or publish still camera or video images on Omega Construction job sites without first submitting them for review and approval of Omega Construction's Division Vice President, Company President, or Chief Financial Officer. Many contracts with owners require their consent before pictures and videos can be taken and released. The subcontractors will be required to submit all still camera and video images. In the event of an emergency, you will be warned by a series of horn blasts, 3 short, 3 long, and 3 short blasts. You will be expected to stop work and report to your supervisor in the designated safety zone. The designated safety zone is marked and highlighted on the site plan, which is posted in the job site trailer and on the job information board. You must familiarize yourself with the location of this safety zone. This zone will be the meeting point for all emergencies, EMS, rescue, and fire departments. As a supervisor, it is very important you account for your workers and report their whereabouts to the Omega Construction Superintendent immediately. As this job progresses, the safety zone could change. You'll be made aware of any changes in your weekly safety meetings. Please take note of the job site address, which is also posted on the site plan and the job information board to inform any emergency agency as to the location of this job site if needed. Courtesy and businesslike conduct is expected of all employees on this job site. Your actions not only make a statement about yourself, but also about the project and the company you represent. We expect you to conduct yourself as a competent construction professional at all times to safeguard the reputation of your employer, the client that you're working for, and your fellow employees. Specific conduct rules will be provided by your employer. However, you need to be aware of the requirements for this job site and the policies covered in this orientation. These rules of conduct are expected to be followed on and off the job site. Thank you for watching Omega Construction's job site safety orientation video. Be safe.